Hey folks, Jimmy here, aka Palette of the Dead. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to the latest issue of Warhammer Age of Sigmar Spearhead magazine. Now, as per usual with all these videos, if you like them, obviously give the video a thumbs up. If you haven't already, why not hit that subscribe button so you get more of this type of content. And lastly, if you'd like to, drop a comment down below. One, goes a massive way to helping out the channel, and two, I really do love hearing back from you guys, whether you're commenting on a certain colour scheme you're going for, if you want, if you want to, I was going to say ask my expertise, I wouldn't count myself as an expert though. If you want to ask my opinion on the best way of doing something or anything like that, or kind of good ways of getting colour schemes together and everything like that for minis, by all means drop it in the comments down below. If I can't answer, there may be somebody else in the kind of community that we're building on this channel who can. Now, this week it is issue number 12. It's a paint issue. It is the most cost-effective paint issue because you get 3 different paints and a brush. So, firstly, I'm going to talk about a brush because I want to be awkward. We get a medium shade brush. Now, medium shade brushes are distinctive by the fact that their bristles on the brush are longer than your average. That is because it is designed to hold a bit more of your shades, which are very, very watery. That being said, obviously, don't let it go up to that metal ferrule or anything like that, because it will damage the brush still, like any other paint. Yeah, decent brush. I mean, I must admit, these newer white bristled synthetic paint brushes that you get from Warhammer Colour/Citadel Games Workshop are actually really good. I must admit, I do like them. They don't hold enough of the point all the time, but there are some really, really good other brands out there. So personally, I use some Green Stuff World brushes, and I also like to utilize some of the AK interactive brushes, whether you're going for size 1s and 0s and 2s and everything like that. You can get synthetic and you can get kind of your more regular brown kind of bristled and everything like that. If you want something really, really fine, I must admit I utilize a good old Green Stuff World 00 brush, which is very, very minute, very, very tiny, and really, really cool, and it's really good for getting that little tiny dot of detail in there and everything like that. So, you can get some really good ones out there. So, by all means, go for that. If you want something that just does the job, Warhammer brushes are really good. So, yeah, I'm not going to knock them. They're decent brushes, apart from that starter brush. But yeah, really good stuff. Now, talking about paints, we have 3 paints. Now, we have Wraithbone, which is a very good pale ivory colour. I'm not going to lie, I use a fair bit of this. The downside with this paint and the next paint is they separate very easily because light pigments are very, very heavy. So you're going to need to make sure you are shaking the hell out of this before you utilise it, because otherwise it's going to be, yeah, rubbish. So, but yeah, really, really good stuff, and a very, very good versatile paint, especially when using it with certain shades or contrast paints. The other paint is Corax White, another very, very good paint. It is a kind of slightly off-white, but it's very, very good. It's thick. It's a very, very thick paint. I'm not going to lie, I shake the hell out of these. Once I've opened it and after a few uses, I end up having to put some medium in there just to kind of keep it very fluid. It separates ultra easy. It can be a bit of a pain in the backside. In all honesty, dropper bottles are better for most paints. So for instance, you can get yourself some White Star from the good old Duncan Rhodes paints, and I have another one that's a bit more kind of like that, which is Trooper White, which is another one where it's a bit more of a duller white and everything like that, whereas that White Star is a bit more like White Scar, which is a very bright white. But yeah, really, really good. Also fairly versatile. It's going to tell you to utilise it in some weird places. I'm not going to lie to you, but it can work. So yeah, it's not too bad. The other paint we get is a very different type of paint. It is a shade. So shade paints are very, very, very watery, and you'll notice that as soon as you open it, it is essentially like water. It's kind of like an ink, in all honesty. Agrax Earthshade is a kind of a browny colour, and yeah, super fluid and everything like that. The idea with these is you put them over your base layers, let it sit, let it dry, and it will go into all the recesses and everything like that. Then you need colour over the top of it. So you'll utilise it in some certain areas. So you'll utilise it over some armour, maybe weapons, even skin tones can be utilised for it. So if you want kind of like warm flesh skin tones, using say like Bugman's Glow and Agrax Earthshade, and then like layering up with like Cadian flesh tone and stuff like that, makes a nice warm kind of skin. So yeah, really, really good. And obviously that is why you have that shade brush this week, because of that. And we'll get more shades later on at some point as well. Anyway, enough rambling on. We get the thing that we were, in all honesty, missing last week, which is the Lord Vigilant collection page, which also gives us our War Scroll as well. So obviously you can name your Lord Vigilant on Gryffstalker if you'd like to. Tick off whether you've built them, painted them and played with them. And also their moment of glory as well. So when they have destroyed an enemy unit and no other friendly unit has inflicted any damage points on them this turn. Then on the other side you got your War Scroll. So your War Scroll is obviously very, very, very handy. So you have, obviously it can move 12 inches. He has 8 health. He has a nice hallowed great axe and the Gryffstalker's beak and talons as their weapons. And yeah, pretty cool. It's not bad, a pretty cool bit of kit. Yeah, it has some pretty cool abilities as well, whether it's delivering judgment or, you know, planning the attack. And a nice bit of lore behind them as well. Moving on from there, you get a bit more information about painting. So if you're new to painting, this is very, very handy for you. So this is all teaching you techniques of how to utilise washes. So using your shade brush, you are going to want to go over. So occasionally you'll hear the term wash and shade. They are the same thing, in all honesty. So they used to just be called washes, and now they're called shades more often than not, because they're used for shading areas. If you're utilising it over certain things, you will see how it changes the look of things. So going over Wraithbone for things like parchment and stuff like that has a massive effect on that. So you can get some really, really cool looks out of it. And yeah, even going over large areas, yeah, can look really, really good. So like bits of the terrain and all that type of stuff works very, very well. Shade paints though do pool very, very easily. If you have too much shade on an area and you need to remove some of it, clean your brush and then slightly damp, but just go back over the area. It will draw off some of that shade. Ideally, best thing to do, have multiple brushes on the go at once. So if you need to, get an extra brush or two and then have one that's clean that you can just go back over. Happy days. Moving on from there, you get your how to paint guide and updates to how to paint certain things, so including your Stormcast Eternal. So utilising your Wraithbone, you can utilise that on the face of any helmetless Stormcast Eternals. You can also utilise it on parchment areas on shields, the tassels and scrolls and everything like that that hang off armour on certain Stormcast as well. So, pretty cool stuff. Using your Corax White, obviously, as well, you can go for the inside of cloaks and over the top parts of certain shields to give that nice bit of detail to it, which, yeah, works very well. I'm not going to lie, it does exactly what you need it to do, and will work very, very nicely for your minis. Then it's going to walk you through your shades. So, utilising your shades, I'm not going to lie, there are ways of doing it. So, using your Agrax Earthshade on things like the parchments, very, very good. Utilising it over the kind of plumes, and even over the good old hafts of weapons and stuff like that, and staffs and everything like that, works very, very good. It can get into them nice little areas to give you a bit of texture for kind of like the red leather straps and wraps and everything like that. Going with your skaven, carrying on with Wraithbone, utilising over some of the face areas and over certain other parts of things like the skulls and other bits and pieces like that, works very, very well. You may need more than one layer of paint with things like Wraithbone because it can be a little bit thin, so going over a dark colour can have a major effect to it and how it works. So sometimes a couple of coats is very, very good. Continuing with thinning it down as well works very, very well. And then utilising your shades again. So very, very easy, very, very straightforward. Following the guide works very well. I'm not going to lie. There are ways of doing the skin for Skaven specifically very differently if you wanted to. But in all honesty, as a guide, that's actually very, very good. So I'm not going to knock it. It works. It does exactly the job you need it to do. Moving on from there, we get a bit more basics to do with our rules of playing the game. So all to do with objectives. So obviously it carries on with what you've learned so far, so whether it's the coherency of units and utilising rend and such like that. So coherency of units is using units of multiple models that stick together on the battlefield. So whether it's liberators or the clan rats or anything like that, you can't be splitting off certain clan rats going from one direction and two going off here and there and everywhere. They generally stick together. So you have like a unit of 10, it will stick together until it's killed off. So various things like that. Carrying on with all them abilities, you will learn a bit more about that, and it will keep on going through this with you to kind of help it sink in. You also get objectives in games as well. So objectives in games can be anything. It could be you can create tokens for it. So if you have, I don't know, buy yourself some random spare bases or anything like that. You can make little objective markers if you wanted to, make them out of 3D printed pieces or even spare pieces that you may have, whether it's a spare shield, sword or anything like that. It can do the job. Otherwise though, you can just utilise objective markers that are like this. So they will have these objectives on the battle mats, as you will have seen. You can utilise those. Occasionally you can get card versions of them and stuff like that. It all goes a long way. Contesting objectives gives you points. So if you hold an objective and there's no enemies also on that objective, you can control it. If you have more units on that objective than your opponent, you will gain control of it and all that top stuff. So you need to have a little bit of that with it, and you need to hold those objectives. And the more you hold them and the longer you hold them, the more victory points you get overall in the long run and all that good stuff. So pretty cool stuff. Moving on from there though, we have a take and hold battle as well. So utilising the abilities of how to go through using objectives. So you can use your Lord Veritant and Lord Vigilant and 5 Liberators going up against a Grey Seer, a Warlock Engineer and 2 units of 10 Clan Rats as well. Pretty cool stuff, and you get to have a bit of fun with that. And obviously, you know, try and make sure you're contesting every objective that you can. And yeah, following the guide, it works very, very well. It'll do you exactly what you need it to do. And yeah, you get to learn how to utilise objectives within games, which is very, very handy to know. And happy days. That is pretty much it. Obviously, we have some really cool stuff to look forward to in the near future with this magazine. Obviously, next week, being the main one, we have our final Skaven issue. So we've already had our final Stormcast Eternal. We get our final Skaven, which is the Claw Lord on Nor Beast. We get special rules and a new scenario for this chappy as well. I'm not gonna lie, pretty cool unit. So looks really, really cool. And then that'll be it for Stormcast Eternals and Skaven. We will move on to new factions. In all honesty, I still haven't seen any updates on what factions they will be. However, it has been very, 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 very heavily implied on a few websites that it will be Seraphon, which are essentially your lizard men, which are really cool dinosaur chappies, which I must admit I really, really love. But that's what's been hinted at. So we'll see. So, but yeah, should be really good. As soon as I know more, I will update you guys on it, and there will be other videos coming. But I'm not gonna lie, it's been red hot here in the UK for the last few days, and I have a room that is south facing, and it's been far too hot to do much. So I've not really had the time to record because I don't like sweating to death when I'm recording. Anyway, that is enough from me. If you haven't already seen it, you can check out the very last issue of 40k Combat Patrol magazine, issue number 90. That uploaded last night, and yeah, it was really, really good. Pretty cool stuff. And obviously, there will be stuff in the future. Don't know what exactly yet, but should be really good fun. But for now, thank you very, very much for joining me in another issue of Warhammer Age of Sigmar Spearhead magazine, and I will see you in the near future. Bye-bye now.